Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of You and I Builder Live, the show where one day we'll have a tagline. My name is Maria Gabriela, Ochoa Press Vector. A lot of you may know me as MGOPW, and I am an outbound product manager on the Next Experience team. Today with me, I have...
My name is Brad Tilton, and I am also an outbound PM on the Next Experience team.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Brad Tilton. It's great to have you on the show for the first time. What are we going to cover today?
We're going to talk about all the new stuff in Washington, or much of the new stuff in Washington as it pertains to UI Builder, maybe some workspace, whatever else we figure out and want to look at.
Awesome. Everybody in the chat, have any of you had a chance to look at what's new in UI Builder in Washington yet? Let's see if we get some responses real quick. Okay, Earl, you don't count. Now, Brad, is there anything special that they need to do in order to see these updates themselves?
There is. Let's take a look at it. So specific to UI Builder, one of the big things in the Washington, D.C. release is that UI Builder has moved to the store in the Washington, D.C. release. That is, we think, a good thing for both us and our customers and partners. That's going to allow us to release quarterly instead of along with the family releases twice a year. So, things that we weren't able to fit into Washington, instead of waiting until, September for the Xanadu release, we'll be able to release some stuff in May with the May store release. So there's one thing I'm really excited about that's coming out in the May release that we can't talk about yet. But yeah, it's just allowing us to deliver, more value faster, we hope. But along with that comes something with this release that is a little bit tricky. It's not tricky, but you have to know that UIB moved to the store so you can go check to see if there is an upgrade. So let's go ahead and we're going to show in this instance how to upgrade to the newest version of UI Builder. In future releases, you'll have something that indicates that there's an update and you need to go update UI Builder. But in this release, you have to just know that it's here. So I am in the new plugin manager experience, or newish. I guess it was a Vancouver thing. If I go into updates, I can see that we've got 98 store applications. That's too many to browse. So I'm going to search UI Builder, and SN-UI-Builder is the name of the UI Builder store app. And so we are just going to go ahead and update it. We've got, all of the different version details here. 25.0.23 is basically the Vancouver, version of the app moved into the store. So that's what it comes with. And then you can update it here. The search isn't good. I don't know. I kind of like the search on the new app manager. So
I like how performant one is.
That's true. We'll go ahead and take a look at it. It's going to install a lot of these things are either components or just part of UI Builder. It's going to update a bunch of things. So we'll go ahead and install it. Are we wearing matching shirts? I didn't realize that.
So I didn't notice it until we went live. So I turned off my camera so I could take off my sweater and we could match.
Nice. Nice.
Earl just wasn't paying attention. I was like, Earl, take me off camera. Earl, take me off camera. But nothing.
All right. So we are not going to wait for it to install. I don't think it takes a super long time, but we only have an hour. So I already have it updated in another instance that has been running real slow for me today. So hopefully this works out. But let's go ahead and open UI Builder. And we don't really have a set agenda for today's show. We're just going to kind of poke around in UI Builder. So if anybody's got questions about what's new and that sort of thing, we will do that. And then if it turns out we need to fill some time, we can go ahead and build something. So again, this instance, I've been struggling with it all day. I don't know what's going on. Let's see, is there something I can show that's not in UIB? I don't think so. What workspaces do I have?
Did you really name your instance Bradshington?
I did. I was in a mood, and yeah.
My Washington instance is Yarn.
Nice. I've always had an instance that I just upgrade, but I kind of like getting a new one, so I've been retiring and getting new ones. And we're loading. Again, this instance has been super slow with all sorts of things. I probably did something to it. Let's see. I could load my PDI. Let's see. Shock, it is hibernating. We'll see if my PDI wakes up faster than my current instance loads UIB. This is riveting, I know.
We're having a lot of fun in the chat, adding Brad to all the instance versions.
I've already thought about it. I think I'll go Brokahama. I think sounds more fun.
Brokahama.
Hey, there we go. One of the things that is only going to make a few people happy that experienced it in the previous release is that this experience homepage, the UI Builder homepage, there was a bug with the Vancouver version where it would show you that some of the rows were removed because of security constraints, and there weren't actually any security constraints, and you had to resort it to get stuff to show up. And so now, whenever it's finished loading, it's all going to show up. I think I must have cleared the cache on this morning. Yeah. So if I scroll down, they're all here. There's no message anymore. So just a little thing that we fixed in this release.
Is that active column new, or is that just me?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I'm gonna go check it out in Utah or Vancouver. Brad Coover.
I hope the whole show isn't like this. I'm thinking it's going to speed up. But we can start by clicking on the What's New dialog. We introduced this dialog box in the Vancouver release. So this is a pretty good place to go. I think more builders are also picking this up. I can't remember whether it's in Workflow Studio or something like that. But we have added this to more places. So we kind of go through the different things that we've added, and we'll get more into this. But we'll go over the data UI. So this is dynamic data binding. We kind of wrote a visual builder to put on top of that. We kind of changed the way some of the stuff shows up. Yeah, we'll just talk through that as we get there. So for this one, I'm going to create a new page. You might notice some of our some of the colors and icons and rounded corners and things. We're really trying to make all of our builders more consistent in terms of design. I think we started this in the Utah release. And so gradually doing there, we have updated all of the icon library. So you can see these are new icons here, but let's go ahead and create a page.
And I checked. The active column was there before, but now it's got a cute little green border if it's active and
nice,
not colored, or if it's inactive. Also, UI Builder seems to be 99% of the way on the other instance. So worst case scenario, we can hop onto the other instance.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when it's done.
We'll just flip back and forth.
Is it the 99% that actually is just going the entire time?
I know. I think I had to tell my kids that one time, like, as somebody who's written boxes that are dialogue boxes like this, never trust the numbers, especially if I'm the one that wrote it. This is bad. I'm also waking up an instance, so we've got 3 things happening that, sorry, we were on back-to-back calls all day as well. Come on. All right. That is not refresh. That was taking a screenshot.
In the meantime, I am going to do a couple of plugs for our team here. There's a lot of live events that you can attend that are all part of sort of ServiceNow hosted events. You've got the developer meetups, which you should totally look up if there's one around you. They're a lot of fun to go to, and you learn a whole bunch, and you get to meet a bunch of other people. Then there's the SNUGs, the ServiceNow user groups, which tend to be larger, and they happen during the workday, while developer meetups are after work. And then there are the ServiceNow summits, which are a new series of events that are a lot bigger than ServiceNow user groups. But the reason I bring these up is because I'm going to be hitting up a few events here in Q1. So if you end up going to one of these, you're going to get to see my awesome new Washington presentation. Let me pull up my list here while that loads. I'm going to be at the New York SNUG on, hang on, I should do these in order. I'm going to be at the Charlotte Summit on February 27th, the Boston Summit on March 13th, at the Richmond, Virginia SNUG on March 26th, and at the New York SNUG on March 28th. So if there's any local events near you, you should totally go. But that's the ones that I'm going to be at. Doing a fun little Washington roadmap presentation. This is a cool looking layout, Earl. Really fancy. Other than that, of course, there's going to be Knowledge down in May. We won't have our usual episodes in May, but our next online episode of sorts is going to be our next Experience Academy on February 21st. We're going to be talking about what's new in all of the experiences in Washington. And then we're going to go into more detail about what's new in UI Builder on March 20th. And that was going to be a special academy because we're going to be live on site, and Brad and I are going to have to share a camera, and it's going to be really funny. So if you want a really entertaining academy where you get to learn a lot more about UI Builder, you should totally tune in on March 20th. And I'll post some links here in the chat.
All right. Well, this instance, I think maybe they didn't like the name of this instance. So another instance. All right. So let's try creating a new page here. So this is the one we just loaded UIB on, and it is already faster. One of the things that we get are, I think, some more page templates. I think the map is new. And then what was the other one that was kind of nice? There's a new list page template. So I think before we only had the list and a legacy template. So there's the new one. And then we've also got visualization designer. So if you're adding visualizations to a workspace, or you want to add the designer to a workspace, you can do that really easily with the template now. So I like the additional templates that we've added, but we are going to create from scratch, I think is probably what we want to do. And then we'll probably do something on the record page as well. So we'll call this Washington test.
Hey, Earl, check out Slack. I sent you the Academy's link for me, please. Thank you.
We're working. All right, we're working in the page collection scope. I hope that's fine. So the first thing that we see here is a fairly obvious change, but we pulled the data resources, client state parameters, and client scripts out of the tiny little icons we're at the bottom left. This just makes it more discoverable. It also makes it easier to kind of see what's all on my page in addition to the content tree. I can also see all of my data resources listed out. It'll list all my client scripts out. And then I think I still click into client state parameters. So that's new. While we're in this panel, let's look at a couple of things. So there's a couple of ways to add new items here. I can hit the plus sign, and I have some options, or I can just go directly in here. So adding data resources, this is one of my favorite things that we've added, because this was one that I really pushed for, and we finally got it in. So I'm pretty happy with it. So the previous way to do this was, you'd get this panel at the bottom that took up a large part of your screen at the bottom. And the way that all of the data resources were organized was by application. And so in some ways that was nice. If you've created a data resource, it was kind of easy to find. And if you searched, you couldn't see like data resources from different applications in the same search results. You would have to kind of click through them. But it was really not discoverable. And we have some data resources that are pretty common, that lots of people use all the time, and they were kind of hard to find. So what we did was we took those data resources, so basically querying multiple or single records, creating a record, updating a record, and things like that, and we put them at the top here. And then we have an all data resources down here. And then I can't remember whether this made it in, but I think maybe if you create a data resource, I haven't tested this yet. Maybe if you create a data resource, it'll show you other data resources in your same application scope above all data resources. But you can also search here. So we also renamed lookup single record and lookup multiple records partially because anytime I ever wrote a lab, one of the most common ways that people would make a mistake is instead of doing lookup record, they would do lookup records and vice versa. And it's just an easy mistake to make. So just one of those, as we see people, how people are using UI Builder, we change it to be more user friendly. So one of the other things that we do, so if we say lookups multiple records, we've also tried to make the information you get on the right a lot more kind of relevant and add a lot more information there. Most of our commonly used data resources will have this built out pretty well. Not all of them will have a really good description, but we tried to get most of the teams to update those. You'll also notice that, this is a different panel. I mentioned before, you'd get this panel all across the bottom. This is actually a modeless dialog window. So this is also something new that we've added to UIB in general in the Washington release, as we added modeless dialog windows. And so the modeless is different than a modal because I can still interact with the rest of the screen. I can move this around. I can resize it. I can take up the whole screen. So it's just a little more flexible than a standard modal. So I like that. If I'm zoomed into 200 right now. So on my normal monitor that I'm working on, I could kind of put this down in the corner and kind of look at something else and maybe reference it as I'm creating something. Let's go ahead and add this lookup multiple records.
This is my second favorite feature in UI Builder Washington, especially because, Earl, put us in that one view where you have us in the corners. No, not that one. Mm-hmm. There we go. Now we won't be obscuring the screen because Brad can move the modal list dialog elsewhere. It's super cool.
Yeah, totally did it for the show. Totally did it for the show. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. No, we don't have that kind of pull. But yeah, it is nice for us. One of the other things is, so now the data resource is not quite added to the page yet. I believe I can cancel it still. And because of that, it's just kind of nice that I can look at it. I can say, oh, I don't really want this, and go back. We are going to configure this. But I also don't get that message that always drives me crazy. And it was an error message that would say, you haven't configured this correctly. And it's like, yes, I know, because I haven't configured it yet. So that's gone. Again, lots of usability enhancements. So let's just go ahead and add this. We'll just return all incidents. I don't know that there's one. Okay. And so now I can add this, or is it? It may be.
I think it's already added.
All right.
I think that's the pop-up that you just dismissed.
Oh yeah. I automatically hit got it. Nice. All right, so it does get automatically added. I was working from a mock-up that I saw 6 months ago. So now, if you've got a lot of data resources, it's a little bit more obvious that they're there. You can still get rid of this if you want more real estate here. So a lot of flexibility still. The client state parameters works similarly. Where it's in a modeless, I can add more of them. I still get the thing on the right. And then same with the client scripts, I believe. Yeah. So I can add.
And they'll close each other out, right? You can't have multiple up. They won't.
Yeah.
Good and call. Then Ailey has a question. Did they they let you do multiple fields now?
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's still one at a time here. This is what.
It's one at a time.
Yeah, so we didn't really change. I guess that's an important question. We didn't really change data resources themselves. We just made it easier to find them and add them to the page. And then we reorganized kind of the way that this looks. So it's all more usability and look and feel enhancements. We didn't necessarily change the way that any of this works behind the scenes. So that was data and scripts. So we looked up some records. What else do we have? What else is new? Data location. We're going to do the data UI last, I think. We'll do form builder in a minute, column layouts in a minute. We talked about modeless dialog. Let's do the icon picker. So you'll also notice here. We changed out the icons to where everything matches a little better and looks a little nicer. So it's all new icon library here. And I believe you have access to these from the icon component. But if we add an icon component, one of the other really small things that we did that I really love is we moved this none button from the bottom to the top. And I always feel silly talking about little changes like this, but I have loved working with this because I am generally not using a preset if I'm adding a component to the stage. And so I like that I can just hit none at the top instead of scrolling. But what do we do with the icons here? Yeah. So for the icon, we added a new icon picker. So if you worked with a component that has an icon, you'll know that I think we just had a drop down that showed maybe 5 at a time. And so if you didn't know what something was named, you were kind of out of luck. So this lets you browse them. You can browse them a lot quicker. And, obviously look at the ones that are outlined versus fill. I can get back to just a list if I want to, but I'm probably not going to. And then the cool thing is that you can now add your own custom icon. It is kind of a one at a time thing. So this is not like add the fun, awesome icon library. But you can, grab the, this is obviously the image table. So you could grab from the image table, you can upload a new one. And so just more flexibility. This was totally based on customer feedback, a lot of customer feedback and our own internal app team feedback saying that they wanted to add additional icons. So that was a new one.
Hey, Brad.
All right. Let's get rid of the icon here.
I sent you a GIF through Mattermost. Can we test and see if that goes in?
I'm sure it will, but if we have time at the end, I'll redo it. Sorry.
Sounds good.
All right. We did some things with the column layout too, and I can't quite remember what they were. What did we do? I think is distribute columns evenly new.
That looks new.
That might be it. So we did do some. So one of the things that we're looking to do with both column layouts and tabs is we want people to be able to configure them from the stage. a little bit easier rather than having to find the right thing to click on, find the configuration, and then configure it there. We're really looking to, just make things easier to configure here. So let's go. What do we want to do? Let's add a stylized text. And so now we will take a look at the new visual data binding because it's pretty neat. All right, so I've got, I always have where I can enter text, I can hard code a value, and we used to have this icon and then a script icon. So we have really just changed the experience of binding data and scripting data. So if I click on this, I get a new modal that pops up. And instead of previously, when I would click on that, this text box would just change into like a little one-line code box. And I would have IntelliSense, and I would just start, typing and auto-completing basically into these different objects and then filling in. So what we have here is we have what we call visual data binding. That was our internal name. I don't know that we actually have an external name for this. This is just the way that we bind data now, where I can click into these different things. So if I click into app, so this is kind of one of our top level objects that are available to me on the page. I have all of its properties, and I can, keep clicking through and get things. And so for app, I believe this is going to give me all of the UX page properties for my experience. And so easier access to those. And now it's all kind of discoverable. I have a pretty good idea of what data is available to me on my page as I'm building it out here. I've got session properties, where that's where the user properties are. So I could come in and see all of my user properties here, whether somebody's impersonating or not. I'll be honest, I don't think I knew that this was something available to me in UI Builder, and now it is discoverable. Same with my properties, session properties. Then we've got some other properties here. Then I can click in to my data resource. And this is one of them where some of our data resources, especially like the form controller, get really complex. Like you may have objects that are, 10 dot walks deep, and doing that in a single text box right here gets really difficult. It does expand, but it's just hard to use. So now I can kind of click through, and it's real easy to see things. I don't have to worry about fat fingering something or mistyping something, and I can get right to the value here. So for that one, we could hit incident. I click on it, and then I have this little icon. I can put it up here, and it's going to give me that same thing. And then I believe I can toggle at this point. Yeah. So if you did need to type something in, so it's possible that there is some element that hasn't exposed its schema. It could be a custom component that you've built that has something associated with it that doesn't expose its schema, or an event payload. You still have the ability just to type in like that. So you haven't lost that. And then I also still have the ability. Is it going to refresh me if I use script? All right, we won't do that yet. But yeah, if we hit apply, I have that here, and I can kind of see it, and then I can click into it. It'll pop that back up. But one of the other things we did, I like this a lot, but I think where it really becomes powerful is when you get into the formulas. So can I just click on it? There we go. We'll get rid of that. So we've always had formulas available as well, or we've had them available for at least a few releases. But you had to know kind of what they were. And there was not a lot of information on how you use that formula unless you found the one docs article that spells all of this out, which is not always easy to do. My favorite formula is concat because that just lets you put different texts and data together, like the example here. So it tells you how to use it, tells you the input types and the output, and then gives you an example, which is pretty nice. So if we use concat, I could say something like here, So I'm in the formula. I could go back to data types, and we could say, what if I put my display value in the first one, and then in the second one, we could do that. We could add another one, and then we could put my name in there or something. It's always a good idea to put my name into places, right? So we'll stick that up there. And then there's a way to toggle to text.
Isn't it just quotes?
Oh, it is quotes. I believe this is not the first time that you have told me that, right?
I'm not going to say anything.
I think we had a call where we did something like this. You were like, maybe use quotes. All right. So that worked. Or let's see if it worked. Yeah. So now we've got the incident number dash my name. We did all of this without, I guess I did type quotes, but I didn't really have to type anything. It's all declarative. I clicked around. So it was pretty easy to use. And just for the ability to discover these different formulas, I would encourage you to kind of get in here and play around with the formulas, and you can see, what we have here.
Something that I noticed that's kind of cool. Can we add another stylized text to a different column and add the do the dynamic data binding to add just the not do the concat, just do the pill itself?
Which one?
Just the incident number.
Yeah. All right.
Something that was really cool that I noticed was if you hit apply, after adding it, of course, it shows you the value right there next to text.
Oh, yeah. That is nice.
That's really cool. But also we can show the actual new feature with columns now. So now you can actually drag and drop entire columns and it'll move all the components inside of them.
Oh, so I could do this. Wait.
See if it's that you got to grab it from the little handles up top.
So that's the whole layout.
Oh, no, I think the 33%. Try grabbing that part.
Oh, that's going to resize me.
Not even if you grab it from the center? No, weird.
Can I do this? No.
Oh, it worked.
That worked. So I drag him here.
From the...
Yeah, from the content tree.
I almost called those breadcrumbs. I was like, what's the word?
We'll go content tree.
Content tree.
Yeah, so that was nice. We can play around with the visual data binding a little more, but I want to show a couple more things that we'll look at from the record page. We've done a little bit of work in here.
We've done a few record pages here.
Delete variants now, I guess, from here. I didn't realize that. Let's do this. Cancel. Let's save this page. And I did want to show this that the script editor is still here. Right. So I still have the ability to use the script editor if I need a script property. All right, now let's go. All right, so we've got our incident record. Let's give it an actual incident here. We did hear your dogs. So I think one of the things we can do is I think I can rename a tab. No, that's the main component. I thought I could rename a tab. Well, I know maybe it's I can add a tab from here instead of having to go over here. So that's one of them. The other one is whenever you have a form component, there's this new button that shows up. And so I can click Edit Form. And so whatever form view you're looking at pops up in Form Builder within UIB. So this is hopefully one of those things that's going to make it really easy to edit your forms. This is a lot of feedback that we've gotten. It is, editing forms and lists is kind of a little more difficult. So we're hitting forms in this release where it's really easy to come and change the form. It's also, if you go back and look at this page, it's not always obvious what form view is getting shown here. So it is actually in the, is it in the form controller? No, because we're pulling it from a property. Oh, but we do, oh, that is one of the nice things with the new data pills, since it shows the value. If I have a crazy complex page or component or data resource, I can now see that the SOW view is being used. I can also just edit form. So let's edit the form. So let's do something really terrible we could do. I haven't even edited a form in so long that I don't remember what the bad things you can do with a form are. Let's do it. I mean, we could obviously add like 80 fields to it. That would be bad, but I can preview it. I think that's going to show the form builder preview. Maybe let's just pretend like it showed up, and then we'll hit save. And then if I go back, I believe it's going to refresh. It did refresh. So we moved subcategory above category here. So it did let us change the form. So again, one of those pieces of feedback that we've heard, people want to be able to come in, especially, one of the main ways people are using UIB right now is to edit our out-of-the-box workspaces. And so the ability to come in and more easily edit, especially some of these record pages, is a good thing. You can also see how this is kind of helpful on a page. Our record pages are probably our most complex pages that we ship, just because this is where all the work gets done. And there's a lot going on these pages. And so the data and scripts panel being like that, I think is pretty helpful because it, it really exposes those things to you right at the beginning. All right. Yep. And then we've got the parameters. What else? What else is new? What's new? I think flexible column layouts.
I'm on mute. See that?
I wonder if there's something we have to do. Maybe you can't rearrange. I don't know. Oh no, this isn't a column layout. This is tabs.
Do we want to show a slush bucket field?
Oh yeah, we did support those, huh? Should we add a slush bucket field to the incident form?
Yeah, let's see if that works.
Really mess up this form. Is there one?
I mean, we could just add one.
That's true. Is the slush bucket a type of field?
It's a type of field.
Is it? Oh yeah, I'm not going to get the types there.
Okay, now that's weird.
List collector. No, not even there. Let me type slower. Do I have to show a list field as a list collector? Is it the same field type? It just does both? There. Lisa says we're right. Yeah. That's really all I need. Can I make it show up as a slush bucket, or is it just gonna, I don't know. All right, did we add this somewhere, or do I still have to? Yeah, let's put it at the top. Oh, come on. So did we just create this field in the other scope? Oh, Lisa, I thought you knew. I was like, oh, Lisa said it's right, so it has to be right. I bet there's some. We'll have to. Maybe we'll have to be better prepared, which is sad. There is one thing I wanted to play around with, which is the new list component. Yeah, what? So we have always shown list fields a little differently in Workspace. So instead of the little lock icon that you normally get with a list field, it's more like a label tagging. It's more like tagging where you have the different items show up as different like rounded corner elements. There's a name. Pills. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, let's create a new page and add a list to it, or let's just use the page we already created. That's fine. All right, let's go ahead and add another column layout afterwards. And what do we have available? Do you remember what it's called? Is it record list? No.
Record list bundle?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, I can put it on this page. So record list is a new component. I have not actually played with this yet. But it is an example of this new component we built called the presentational list component, where the list component is no longer tied to, or it doesn't fetch its own data. Sorry. So it is tied to a controller. So it's got this list controller. And one of the things we did with controllers in this release was we added the ability to show the data from the controller. It makes it more obvious that, hey, the properties here are showing there. This may be because it's a bundle. But yeah, so this is a presentational list. When you add it to the page, it comes with the list controller here. What happens if I say delete everything? That seems safe, right? Okay, I can't do that. Yes. Yeah, so basically for the Washington release, I couldn't remember exactly what we did. For the Washington release, we just kind of changed the list component to a component bundle, which is basically a group of components that we ship together. Where this is a number of components. So when we said delete everything, you can actually look, we've got a few different components in here and they're all bound to the list controller.
Do they all show separate in the component tree? Oh, awesome. Maybe you can do stuff with those.
Oh yeah, and you can, that's right. You can come in here and if you wanted to unbind them from things, you can. So really at the end of the day, the purpose of the presentational list, part of it is in general, we think components should mostly be presentational. So you should handle data through data resources and the components should just be, visualizing that data or showing the data. Some of the really complex components, that's harder to do, especially without controllers. And so this, obviously the first thing we did was the record page with all the form components and the form controller. And now we're doing it with the list. So with the list here, you can see that, oh, and now I got one. Did y'all hear my dog barking? So we've got the different components you could come in and change. I don't know, let's try to change something in here. So the title, what if I wanted to remove?
So the data resource is what's doing the settings for this list?
Yes. So if I take that out and we just call it, there we go.
So then should I edit wherever that data resource is coming from, or should I edit it directly like you're editing right now?
Yeah, so generally you want to edit the list controller. And so I can click into the list controller. I can see that here, but not all of the, all of these properties don't always have a direct property on the controller, like related list name. You may not be able to edit the property here and have it show up there. It may come somewhere from the record, right? And so in that case, you might want to edit it here. But yeah, if you want to change some of these things, you can come into the controller here. I do think eventually this will let you use custom data here. So if you just have a JSON blob of data, instead of pulling data from a table, you could use that in the list. That is one of the eventual goals with this. You may be able to make it happen now, but it's probably not very easy. And then I think we're going to have some flexibility in the column content as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Something that's really useful about the record list being broken out like this into different components is that you can technically put anything you want in between all these components. It's just open for you to edit, unlike the previous list component.
Let's do that.
So if we want to put a GIF in the middle of the page between the title of the list and the bottom of the list, we can put a GIF that was sent to Brad through Mattermost.
All right. Let me get that going.
It's a very specific scenario, but I was just saying, if a customer wanted to do this, they could do this.
Okay, let's, no, we want to put it in between, show that we can put things in between. So let's put it above the list. And that was the icon component. That looks terrible. What if we put it here? That's better. Where's Mattermost? All right. Okay, and then let's go choose custom image. Oh, let's drag it. That's always more fun anyway. Where did it download to?
Could it be in your downloads?
I was looking at my documents. It is in my documents. I am so happy to have a day off tomorrow. I don't think it worked. Oh.
Oh, hit save.
It's there. It's just
oh,
very
it's tiny.
What if we make it big? There we go. Preview.
Well, let's see if it animates.
Well, I think it's because it's an icon here. Oh, no, it's never going to get bigger than that.
But it animates. You can have animated icons.
It is animated. Yep.
That's so amazing.
I have a feeling I know how some of your demos are going to go now.
What? No way.
All right. So I think that's most of it. This was just UIB. So it's not, we also have a lot of workspace improvements. We've got some component enhancements that we'll try to call out on a later show. We're going to have Alap and the DevTools team back on probably at one of the March sessions to show us some of the improvements that we're making to the Developer Tools Chrome extension and CLI improvements. So I actually have not checked to see if those are updated yet. We kind of update those on the same general cycle, but because they're not specifically tied to a release, it could be a week later or something like that. But yeah.
So then.
Sorry?
No, I'm waiting to see who's going to close out the show.
Oh,
I think it should be me, right?
Keep an eye out for more Washington content. This was just specific to UI Builder. Yeah.
And if you want to know more about what's coming, what?
There's another thing I wanted to show.
Okay, go.
Earl, share my screen again. Thanks. Let's see if this works. Was this? Yeah, this is the right one. Hopefully this actually works. I don't know. I think we need to open.
That should be the motto of the show. Welcome to UI Builder, where hopefully this is going to work.
We hope this works. I like it. We are getting more into what we call runtime configuration. So if you're looking at a page, one of the things you can do now, I guess we had some of this available already, but if I'm looking at a page and I hit form layout, I believe it's going to open form builder. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Try form builder.
Oh, cool. And you just went to the user icon?
Yeah, so I did it directly from the runtime. I didn't have to open UIB first. So this is, this will let you do some configuration without actually, without actually getting into UI Builder and finding the page and everything, which can be kind of difficult. We have some of that with actions and things like that as well. But the form layout in Washington, it's new because you can open Form Builder from it.
And does this only work on the new standard record page?
What a good question.
I'm so sorry.
No. I think we'd have to reorder the variants to test that out. Somebody should test that for us. Show again.
I'll write it down.
Again. So if I am just looking at, I think I probably have to be logged in as an admin, looking at a record, and I can click form layout, and it is in the Washington release. And then don't show me this again. Can you just take me to form builder? I think there's a way to do that. But again, yeah, this is going to take me to, I believe, that specific view of the form. Let's see. Where does form builder tell me what the view is? Anybody?
Isn't it right there?
Here it is. Yeah. Yeah, so it did take me to the right view here.
Awesome. Right. Any last minute things?
Now we're done. No, I'm done now.
Okay, now we're done. Awesome. So thank you, everybody, for coming to another Brad and Bradler live episode. I hope you all had a bunch of fun. A couple more plugs. Remember, our next Experience Academy, say that 5 times fast, is going to be on February 21st at 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be going over what is new in Washington for experiences. It's going to include sidebar, AWA, and next experience as always. And then on March 20th, we're going to have a special edition of the Next Experience Academy where Brad and I are going to try to share a camera, and hopefully we won't have many tech issues. And as always, you can find us here on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of every month. You guys should know the time. You're here right now. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern. And our next episode is going to be on February 22nd. Earl distracted me. Thank you all so very much for joining us today. And I hope you have a happy rest of your Thursday. Goodbye.
Goodbye.